Hey now, it's Mike Gilbert, host of the Mike and JD Show, right here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Join JD by God Oliva and myself every Thursday night live on the Voices of Wrestling YouTube channel at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we stay up all night discussing all the hottest stories in professional wrestling. You can also check us out right here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting feed, or you can subscribe to the Mike and JD Show feed. Now, enjoy the show.
What is Dax, are you?
Tracking all our cars on Carvana Value Tracker on all our devices? Yes, Kristen, yes I am.
Well, I've been looking for my phone for...
In Dax's domain, we see all. So we always know what our cars are worth.
All of them?
All of them. Value surge, trucks up 3.9%.
That's a great offer.
I know. Sell?
Sell.
Track your car's value with Carvana Value Tracker today.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to leave up holiday decorations year-round. Others have the need to use their garage as practice space for their new metal band. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome to Jumping Bomb Audio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Jumping Bomb Audio, the number one show all about the world of Joshi Pro Wrestling. My name is Taylor, and I am joined, as always, by my very good friend and co-host, Kelly. Kelly, I have to ask, how was your time in New York?
It was great. I didn't see a dead body this year.
That's good to hear. And speaking of another body you didn't see, that would be my body. Because we perfectly planned it where Kelly would be in New York and I would be not in New York.
Yeah, I was Taylor for a week. I went to his job. I lived in his house.
Hence why we had no episode 2 weeks ago, because we were trying to figure it out and then it just didn't work out.
I was wandering around the city going, hi, I'm Taylor. Do you know where Kelly is? Kelly said he'd be in New York. Where is he?
Yes. How were all the toys?
The toys were great. It was a really good show. We had a good time.
Okay.
Got to talk to my new friend, my new close personal friend, Matt Cardona.
Mm-hmm.
He was cool.
Great. What's the new What's the new hot toy coming out?
There was a thing that it's like a big fuzzy monster and it farts. And I don't know if that's actually going to be the big thing, but boy howdy was there advertising for it all over the place, including big versions of them in the lobby that were just ripping farts all weekend.
What is it called?
That's a good question. I need to dig through. I was just calling it Fart Monster. Let me look at my pictures.
Okay.
Because I do not recall what aired. Let's see. What
I have to say.
Okay. No, I wasn't making that up. They're just called Fart Monsters.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, it isn't great advertising if you say, I saw them all over the place, and then I say, what is the name of them? And you go, I don't know what the name is. That seems like poor advertising, but you did know the name.
Yeah, I did know the name. I thought it was just dumb enough that I thought I was just calling it that for shorthand, but no, that is in fact its name.
Sure. So dumb it couldn't be called that, but it is called that.
Yeah. So where were you when I was in New York?
Well, I was in the original home of Toy Fest 2025, which was New Orleans, Louisiana, where I was down. Well, my family's from there, but went down for Mardi Gras as well. So,
Did you throw beads at the women?
I didn't throw beads at the women. Some people threw beads at me.
Oh,
I got a lot of things.
Did you show them the goods?
No.
Oh.
That's largely in only one area of the city. But I've learned, I hadn't been in many years, and I learned they now throw an incredible assortment of items, of which I got many. I got like a serving tray. I got food. I got soap and shampoo.
The serving tray seems dangerous to throw.
It's very heavy, and the person who gave it to me literally like held it out and then very gently like dropped it to me. So it was not dangerous. But I was hit in the face a few times. There were a couple of occasions where I got thrown multiple things from different directions at the same time. And you've got to commit to one.
Yeah.
And so I would catch one and get hit in the face with the other. And that was the way life went.
So has Mardi Gras turned into like New Orleans Boxing Day where people just get rid of the stuff they don't want?
No, it isn't. It isn't like stuff they don't want, because it is bought specifically like for Mardi Gras.
Okay.
But I will say, of the stuff we caught, just because I only had one suitcase, I would say I brought home maybe 25% of the things I caught, and I brought home many things. I got 13 cups, so I've replenished my cup, which I didn't need. I have a lot of cups, so I didn't need more cups, but now, including one very big cup that has King Kong's hand on it.
Oh.
Because it's so big. But yeah, but I was sorry that we not crossed paths.
We anti-crossed paths.
We
Ships
crossed
in the night.
away from each other. Yeah, ships in the night. That's a good way to describe it. Because I think we were in New
I did
York
see
together.
a crying man wearing a firefighter jacket with blood running down his leg at one point.
Oh,
you know that guy?
Interesting. No, I can't say I do.
Okay.
But anyway, we're here to talk Joshi, and we're here to talk Joshi on a very special episode of Jumping Bomb Audio.
On a very special day. Taylor, what's the date?
Today is March 16th.
Oh, hell yeah! 316 Day. Time for Stone Cold Steve Austin to talk to you about Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling's Grand Princess 25 at the Oda City General Gymnasium.
Kelly, I have to say, of all the impressions you've ever done, I think that is the best one by many leagues.
Oh, thank you.
Better than I will say, better than your Triple H. And what's the other one you did? You did some other one.
Oh, I don't even
recently.
remember.
I don't know, but that was a pretty good. That was a pretty good Stone Cold Steve Austin. But Kelly, it also is our 5th anniversary show.
Whoa!
It's insane to believe that this show has been happening for 5 years. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, because it's a pandemic baby.
It is very much so. The first episode back in March, I believe it was on March 12th, 2020. The first episode was me and Aaron talking about how shows were being canceled. And I think the first big show we covered was Stardom had a show at Korakuen Hall in front of no fans.
Oh yeah. The
on
no
like
fans show.
On like March 8th.
Yeah.
And that was the first show we covered, very famously. And then amazingly spent the first few months of this podcast desperately looking for things to talk about as shows were not running. But here we are 5 years later. Kelly joined. I mean, Kelly, you've been here now, what, 4 years?
I think 4 of the 5 years now.
you have been here, I would say, for the majority of, very much so the majority. I wonder what episode you joined on.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember. You've had to done at least 100 episodes, I would think.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And this is episode 123. But yes, happy 5th anniversary to us. If you're still listening from that first episode, thank you. If you've joined later, thank you. And if today's your first episode, thank you. It's amazing that we've made it this far. Also, it's my half birthday today.
Happy half birthday.
Thank you. But anyway, let's get into the Joshi. But before we do, we got to do the plugs. Do we do this anymore? I think this has been canceled. I will say, though, both Kelly and I are on Blue Sky. You can follow Kelly. Is it Comic Geek Kelly on Blue Sky? And it is Taymambo on Blue Sky. You can follow us. The Jumping Bomb audio account has not transferred over yet. But you can follow us there and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice. And if that app of choice happens to be Apple Podcasts, we would love a 5-star rating and review. And if you're feeling extra generous, you can donate to the show at redcircle.com/shows/jumping-bomb-audio. So as Stone Cold Steve Austin said, we got a lot to talk about on this episode, starting with Tokyo Joshi's Grand Princess 25 happened just hours ago. Started just about 12 hours ago from when we're recording at Oda City General Gymnasium in front of, I must say, a very disappointing 1,212 people. I think it is the lowest attended Grand Princess in the history of the promotion. It is also, I believe, just over half of the attendance from last year. I think they did 2,300 last year.
Jeez. That's bad.
So not a great number for Tokyo Joshi. A little bit concerning for them. But Kelly, what did you think of the show itself?
The show itself was weird because, like, aside from the top two, I don't think it was a great show, but I had a very good time watching it. So I don't know. It's not a show that I would like super recommend going out and watching, but like, I don't know. I had a really good time with it. So maybe that's the thing with Tokyo Joshi shows is like, even when their shows aren't great, like when it's a big show, it's enjoyable at the very least.
Well, I'll say I had some issues. I agree with you on the top two, but I had some issues with the rest of the show. I had one major issue, which we'll talk about when it comes up as we review the individual matches. I thought it was fine. I mean, I thought the top two were great and sort of saved the show. So I left the show being like, oh, that was good. Had they not been good or had they under-delivered, I think I would have thought, ooh, not very good. But let's get into the matches themselves. One thing we haven't talked about, I believe it was announced in the time when, in the last month, was Namba is leaving. Sayuri Namba is leaving. Wow, that was terrible. Kelly, aren't we sad to say goodbye?
Because she's she's one of the very first things you see every Tokyo Joshi show. So it'll be sad to have her not around.
I'm fascinated to see who replaces her because she is such an iconic part of the shows, I feel.
Yeah.
So,
and it's like when you see her, you know it's a Tokyo Joshi show because does she work any other promotions? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I've never seen her anywhere else.
No.
So yes, we'll be very sad, but wanted to mention that as, again, like I said, I believe it was announced in the last few weeks. I believe they're doing a farewell show for her, so that will be good. She's going to Vancouver. So if anyone listening is from Vancouver, you may have a new neighbor.
Interesting.
So there you go. But anyway, on to the first match. The first match was what was the what's going on here?
Oh no. Taylor's
Am I
short
having
circuiting.
I am really short circuiting today. I'm not doing.
Hang on, let Stone Cold take over. The opening
Okay.
match saw Yoshihiko Hasegawa and Mifu Ishida defeating Shino, Suzuki, and Himawari.
Thank you, Stone Cold.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now I'm back I'm back put together again. Okay, here we go. Stone Cold, what do you think of the match?
You know, I thought it was a solid-ass match. Nothing really big to write home about, but just a solid wrestling match. 3 stars.
I thought it was very weird when the ring mic went out.
I was afraid that was just going to be the rest of the show like that.
Yeah, I was like, Anyway, there was that weird Shino belly-to-belly suplex in the middle of the match, which really shocked me. But yes, I also thought it was a solid match. I thought it was a good showing for Ishida and Hasegawa. I think they're fitting in well, which is good to see because I think they'll be very valuable. But I thought it was a solid, nothing special, but a good kickoff to the show.
Yeah, and one thing about Ishida is she's tall, which is not the case of many roster members in Tokyo Joshi. But now I say tall, she might just be 5'3" for all I know.
Yes, she's Joshi tall.
Yeah.
Which in the grand scheme of life is sometimes meaningless. But anyway, the next match was an 8-person tag team match. Haruna Neko, Ivy Steele, Kakeru Sekaguchi, and Mahiro Kiryu defeating Chika Nanase, Kaya Toribami, Kira Summer, and Uda Takami in 10 minutes and 22 seconds. And Kelly, while you were watching the show, you messaged me and you said you had a hot take on Kira Summer. So I will let you go first and talk about your hot take.
My hot take is that if Kira Summer was in Marigold, she would have already main evented a show for a singles title by now.
I mean, could be.
And I'm glad they're not doing that. Tokyo Joshi is right in how they slow roll their rookies.
Well, and we'll have some to talk about that later in the show. I thought Kira looked the best that she's looked that 100%. I've seen her in this match. So that was good to see. Seeing Mahiro Kiryu hit a hidden blade, was very odd.
Yeah.
Look, the match was okay. My one wish is that they would use Kakeru Sekaguchi in like a real match and not like a get everyone on the card match. I know that the whole joke is, oh, she looks like Mahiro. Isn't that sort of funny? And it's like, not really. They don't even like, I think Mr. Haku said this on commentary. He's like, I'm surprised they don't have matching gear. And I'm like,
yes.
Yeah, I am as well, considering the whole joke of the match was, oh, they're twins. And
yeah, like, when it's very easy to tell who's who because of their gear, the joke doesn't work.
Yeah. But like I said, this was a get everyone on the card match. Really didn't have many more thoughts than that, other than the Kira thought. So hopefully that improvement sticks around for Kira.
Mm-hmm. And also, Kira did really well on commentary later in the show.
She did do very well. It was interesting. You know, I know that she is from Australia, but it still is weird to hear the Australian accent. She's like, well, I'm Australian. I'm like, yep.
Stuff.
Yeah, she did seem to know. And she was like, oh, yeah, their last match was 2023. I was like, oh, okay. Actually knows something. Didn't didn't just sit on commentary and go, holy shit, once every couple of minutes.
I desperately need Kamiyu and Balianaki to be on the same table. I want that so bad. Oh, so did you stick past like the end of the show, or did you like turn it off after the last promo?
Not real. I sort of like skipped through it. Why?
Did you catch when Kamiyu left?
No.
She just goes to Mr. Haku. Can I go now? And he's like, yeah, that's fine.
All right. Well, she's got things to do, I guess.
Yeah.
The next match was our first singles match of the evening. It was Max the Impaler handily defeating Mocha Miyamoto in 5 minutes. My thought on this match, I was a little bit shocked at how uncompetitive it was.
Yeah.
It really was an extended squash, but my one hope at the end of the match, the bow comes off, Max takes the bow, is looking at the bow, and all I could think of was, please let this be the end of the bow.
Maybe.
Max takes it, and it's never worn again.
Yeah. I had a bunch of thoughts on Mocha's gear when she first came in. And then that all went away when the pink lights went off and it was just the white. And I was like, oh, that was just the light reflecting on her gear. I thought she got a bunch of new pink gear and I was like, damn, that color works on her. And then that was not the case.
Well, and her capture image also looks sort of different. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then she came out and I was like, oh, no, it's just the same.
Yeah.
It's just the same gear. Look, I'm sure the bow will be back. I'm sure I'm just doing wishful thinking. But, I mean, other than that, there's really nothing to talk about with this match because it was just like Max comes out and beats her up for 5 minutes and then wins.
It was a very standard squash.
I was like, oh, this didn't really do much.
No, it was super weird, honestly.
So, yeah. I mean, not much else to say.
No.
The next match was a 6-person tag team match. Aja Kong, Wakano Uehara, and Yuki Kamifuku defeated Haru Kazushiro, Toga, and Yuki Aeno in 11 minutes and 22 seconds. Thought this was a fun match. I actually liked the trio of Toga, Haru, and Aeno a lot. I think that's a fun trio. I thought it was a solid victory for Wakana. Got some fun Aja Kong stuff in there, the sort of usual big match Aja Kong stuff. But again, another match that was just sort of fine.
Yeah, not outside of, I thought, a very good closing stretch between Wakana and Haru. It was a pretty unremarkable match.
The next match was our first title match of the evening. It was for the setup All Asia Women's title, and Raku winning her second singles title in her career after the Ironman heavy metalweight title, defeating Pam Harajuku in 8 minutes and 4 seconds to win the title. This was when Kira Summer joined the booth as guest commentator. Mr. Haku burying the match very early on, like 3 minutes in, being like, if you looked at the ring, you would think nothing had happened yet. And I was like, okay. I wrote in my notes, it's sort of in ring what you would expect from these two wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
That was my note, except for Raku really got Palm with the sling blade near the end.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. And a fun win for Raku to win this setup title. It wasn't even really a comedy.
No, it was pretty
match.
straightforward for those two.
A lot of palm to justices happening, but I thought, again, fine match. I feel like a broken record here.
Palm was laying in some of those shin kicks. They looked rough.
It's that MMA background.
Yeah.
You know, I was sitting back home at the Broken Skull Ranch, and I'm watching Palm Harajuku pulling out Red Bull, 2 Red Bulls, 3 Red Bulls, and I'm like, damn, kid, are you shooting or are you working?
I did wonder if it was actually Red Bull that she was drinking multiples of. That seems
Yeah.
like it would be dangerous,
It really does.
especially to then do physical activity immediately after. But it seemed like she was fine, so I hope she's fine. Yeah. Then we sort of got to the upper part of the card with another singles match. Willow Nightingale defeating Miyu Watanabe in 10 minutes and 15 seconds. A match that I found pretty disappointing.
Yes, I would say it is a match that I both very much enjoyed and also found disappointing because it was good, but not as good as I wanted it to be. I will say these two have just tremendous chemistry together, and I would love to see them get another shot at this or even to be like a tag team because I think they worked really well together. It's just the match itself didn't seem like it was built to be, I don't know, like a blow away great match. It was good. It was good. I went 3 3/4 on it. I enjoyed it a lot. It was cool seeing Miyu do the giant swing on Willow, but yeah, it didn't feel like it was built to be anything more than just a decent mid card match.
Yeah, the one thing that I did like was the pounce, because Miyu really sold it.
Yeah.
Which was great. But I don't know. I just thought I sort of was expecting a great match. It was sort of a bummer to see Miyu lose because it now feels like it's like, oh, she lost the title and now she's losing again. And also the whole thing of, oh, like, can Miyu lift Willow for the giant swing? I'm like, of course she can. She's lifted people like 2 times the size of Willow. I'm not at all surprised. They're like, will she be able to lift her? Will? And I'm like, yes, she will. Don't worry.
She got some real good speed on her.
Yeah. So I think for me, the most disappointing match is because I sort of had very high hopes for it. And also the part of the show where I was sort of like, okay, the matches are going to start really hitting now. And then they didn't really. So this was the part of the show where I was sort of like, oh okay. Well, we'll see what happens here.
Yeah.
The next match, another singles match, Meiko Satomura defeating Yuki Arai in 11 minutes and 49 seconds. And this is when it really clicked in for me that I was like, this is a weird mid-card in that it feels like the mid-card lesson is, look at our wrestlers. They are not that good. Like, you have the Aja Kong. First of all, you have Max the Impaler. Now, you could argue Max is a part of the roster.
Yeah, I would say that.
You could make that argument, and I think that would be fine. But Max just obliterating Mocha. Then you have Aja coming in, and of course, who never really sells much and is like beating people up. Then you have Willow come in and beat Miyu fairly convincingly. And then you have Meiko Satomura come in and beat Yuki Arai. And I'm like, the lesson here seems to be our roster is not that good.
Yeah.
Like,
they put themselves in a corner because Meiko's not losing. Aja Kong's not losing.
No, and I'm not saying there's any world in which they should have gone to like Meiko Satomura and been like, we need you to lose to Yuki Arai right now, please. Because that never would happen. But it just seems like a strange... It seems like a strange card construction.
Yes.
Where it just felt like the middle of it was like, remember Tokyo Joshi? Like, these wrestlers are really great. But just as a reminder, they're not that good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if anyone from outside comes in, they're winning. Like, they've got no chance. And part of it is, I know that AEW wrestlers have come in and they never lose.
Yeah.
and it's Willow, who is a big deal in AEW. But part of me wants to be like, you couldn't work out any way that Miyu Watanabe could like get her mojo back and win and beat Willow Nightingale in a match that, frankly, if the argument is, oh, it's going to make Willow look bad, 99.5% of AEW watchers will never even know this match existed.
Exactly.
AEW will not talk about it. You know, it will not be shown on AEW TV. The fans are not looking it up. They're not some random AEW fan is not buying Wrestle Universe to watch Willow Nightingale wrestle a mid-card match in Japan. Like, just go to them and be like, hey, we need to win, or just don't book the match, book some other match. Like, even I think it would have been more valuable to do like Mako versus Miyu. Because if you're like, well, Miyu's going to lose, I think it's more valuable for Miyu to lose to Mako Satomura than it is Willow Nightingale.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, at the same time, they really want to put over Yuki Arai.
Yes.
They really want to make her happy.
Yes, they are really trying very hard with her. And I understand
and they
that.
need to work even harder now that she's not an idol anymore. Or soon to be not an idol anymore.
Yeah, soon, very soon to be. But I don't know. It was just a weird feeling to me of being like, And I think if one of the matches had been like, whoa, that was an amazing match, then I would be less like, oh, I'm just watching. Like if Willow and Miyu had been, oh, I thought it was 4.5 stars. It was so good. What a battle. I would have maybe thought differently, but it just felt like, oh, these matches are not very good or not up to the standards I think they should be. And all the Tokyo Joshi people are losing. Like, it's a big Tokyo Joshi show. Like, I'm watching to watch the Tokyo Joshi people, and they're all getting obliterated.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my feeling during this match. I mean, I'm enjoying watching this sort of Satomura final run, knowing that this is it. I, again, thought the match was really nothing that special. I know they're trying to make Yuki Arai happen. She certainly has improved, but I don't think she's anywhere on the level of... I don't think what she delivers in the ring, or even in terms of people in the stands, is matching up with the way that she's been treated in the promotion.
No. Like I think she's fine. I think she's good. But it's just like they wanted a lot more out of her than they're getting.
Yeah, and I think, look, maybe without her, the show draws 800 people. I can't say that because I don't know the alternate timelines of history. But it seems to me like you're putting her in these big matches, and it doesn't seem to me like people are coming to see her.
No.
Like, you had 2,300 people last year, and now you have 1,200 people.
Yeah, we never saw the Yuki Arai bump actually happen, I think.
So it's just a bit strange to me. Like, the match was fine, but I didn't end it the way I think they wanted me to think it ended, which was being like, whoa, Yuki Arai stood up to one of the great Joshi wrestlers of all time. Like, she did it. I'm just sort of like, okay, like, that's fine.
Like, I thought she came out looking decent. Like, she put up a good fight near the end, because I really thought it was just going to be Mako kind of destroying her and then going on her way with the way the match was going in the first half. Arai still needs to work on making finally look good, because it looked rough in this match. Like, I think it's time to cut bait and get a new finisher, because it's not working.
Well, the thing about it is a good finisher,
but just she can't pull it off.
But the thing about it is, if you're like, well, just switch finishers, there's no guarantee that whatever finisher she moves to is going to look any better. Like,
yeah,
it isn't a problem of like the bank statement. or whatever Mercedes calls it, where you're like, oh, this move sucks and no one could make this move look good. Stop doing that move. As opposed to this where you're like, well, it can look good because who else does it, and they talked about it in the match. Meiko Satomura does that.
Yeah.
And it sometimes looks really crazy.
I think we're at the point, though, where she just needs to find something else. Because, she's been doing this for 2 years now, right?
She has been doing it since her first match. She has been doing it for 4 years.
Jeez, no. 4?
Her first match was May 4th of 2021.
Holy fuck. I didn't realize she'd been around that long. Christ. So yeah, no, I definitely think it's time to get a new finisher. If you've been spending 3 years working on it, you still can't fucking get it looking good every time.
Yeah, so yeah. I don't know. It was just a thing where I see these big matches and they're like, this is a big match and it's going to be so huge. And Yuki Arai is going to step up. And I'm always like, yeah, she does fine. But there's also people I feel like below that I'm like, well, this person might do better than Yuki Arai in the same position. But it's a decision they've made. I will be fascinated to see what happens once the SKE stuff goes away. Because I think especially now, if she's not really drawing people in, she's going to retire. And I think anyone who's coming in is going to disappear if that's even happening.
That's the thing. I don't think we're going to see a difference in numbers. Because I don't think we ever got an actual bump from her. Because she's we've talked about this before. She's not even in the main league of idols. She's in AA.
Yes, and I think if we got a bump, I would have to go back and look. It probably would have been in the first 5 shows.
Yeah,
that she was a part of. Because it would have been oh, this is interesting. She's doing that, and then you're like, hey, idol fan. Do you want to become a full-time professional wrestling fan? And I'm sure many people were like, no.
Yeah.
So
she's not the fucking hunk that DDT got that sold out Kurikan Hall.
Oh yes. Yes. That is true. I think she's a very minor idol player. I mean, there's so many of them also. You're like, oh, she's an idol. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. And you're like, there's many hundreds of idols in Japan.
And many of them are cartoons.
That is true. Anyway, we move on to the top 3 title matches. The first one, the International Princess title match. Daisy Monkey explodes. Suzume managing to successfully retain her title against Arisa Endo in 14 minutes and 28 seconds. Arisa Endo coming out with the Lisa Frank gear. That was all I could think looking at that gear. Another match I thought under-delivered based on my expectations, but I do find the story is very clearly that Suzume is better than Endo. And I'm very curious to see what the next step of this is, because you have to assume Suzume is going to hold this title. She's going to lose it. And I would assume at some point they get back together and they win the tag titles again. But I would think there needs to be some story of Endo now figures it out in a singles match or something.
Yeah, because on commentary they're pushing that she really doesn't win singles matches pretty much ever.
Because they're like, she hasn't won the title before. She lost this go round. It feels like she has to win. It almost feels like something where she would have to win the setup title or something and be like, oh, she can do this. Because it feels like that's part of the story, and then coming together then would have to be, okay, we've gone off and become better, because Suzume clearly has. Like, they
Yes.
were like, we're not good enough. We couldn't beat 121 million. We have to go our separate ways and like figure out how to become better wrestlers. And Suzume was like, I've got it, and went way up. And Endo is sort of like, well, I'm figuring it out. But I feel like there needs to be a step of, I figured it out, and figuring it out is this X thing, and I don't know what that X thing is.
Yeah, I don't know how you get there. Yeah,
Because there's no other title. She's not going to win the Princess of Princess title and be like, I figured it out.
Yeah, that is an issue that the company has, where oddly they don't have enough belts, which is something that most wrestling companies have the opposite problem of.
Or it just feels like she needs to like beat someone like big. She needs like a big name that she beats or something. Yeah. And I don't know where that comes. I'll be interested to see what they do with it. But it feels like if Suzume just holds the title and then drops it and they're like, oh, we'll get back together, then the story is missing a thing, because then it becomes like, oh, I'm Suzume and I'm dragging my friend along as we win the tag titles.
Yes. Honestly, Endo would have actually been a pretty great opponent for Satomura, I think.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most. Perfect. But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value, for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to paint their door a vibrant shade of blue. Others have the need to decorate their bathroom with fish, anchors, and other nautical items. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I understand the story here, that it's like we're checking in and Suzume is still better than Endo, because you have to, Suzume's, I would imagine, going to defend the title at least a few more times before she loses it.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have to define again, like, oh, Endo is still not good enough. Now while Suzume is defending the title, Endo can go off and do whatever thing she needs to do to get better before Suzume loses the title and they reunite and win the tag titles again.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, this was disappointing. This was it was a good match, but I'm like, damn, I really expected better of these two.
Yeah, it sort of never really went very far.
No, it never kicked into a higher gear. It was just like, okay, we're having a match, and then it was over.
Yeah, it was like, we're wrestling, here's the beginning, here's the middle, and now the match is over, and you're like, oh, okay. I mean, I also don't think there was ever a moment when I thought, oh man, Endo might win. Like,
no,
it was an obvious Suzume win.
There was no sense of urgency to this match at all.
So yeah, I would say disappointing. This and the Willow Miyu match really, I think, were the two matches where I was like, especially at this point after this match ended, where I was like, oh, the show is not really going that well.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's coming up, but what was coming up was the tag title match, which was finally not the finishing move. Hyper Misao and Shoko Nakajima winning the Princess Tag Team titles, defeating 121 million of Maki Ito and Miyu Yamashita in 21 minutes and 29 seconds. I thought this was sort of going along. I thought it was fairly average. I was sort of like, okay, another match that I'm just going to sort of feel fine about. And then Misao's mask came off.
Yep.
And the whole rest of it was so good.
Yep.
I could not believe it. It got so good. There was one really great shot competition from the camera. You know, a lot of times we're like, oh, the cameras they're out of position, they missed this, whatever. Not really a lot in Tokyo Joshi, but in other companies. Near the end, Masao has Miyu in the chicken wing. Shoko and Ito come in. They fight to the outside. They cut to a camera that was looking at the fight on the outside, but then through the middle of them, you could still see Hyper Masao with the submission on in the ring.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is a great shot. That never happens because it's always whoever is in the ring. The two people come in, they fight a little, and then they disappear away. And you don't see them.
Never see them again.
And I love that it was like, okay. And it's also interesting to break up what was a pretty long submission with that chicken wing with, then we cut to this camera that is showing Shoko and Ito fighting, quite a lot on the outside and being like, oh, this is really dynamic. It felt very dynamic. It felt very exciting. Then they cut back to the ring. Hyper had the chicken wing and then hit the finisher to win the match. But I just thought it was great. I think everyone should rip Masao's mask off every match.
Yeah.
If this is what we get, because all of a sudden it was like, yeah, fighting. And I was so nervous. I was like, Miyu's going to win.
I was ready to bury this show 6 feet under if they won.
And I was like, oh my God, even though I know she's part of the roster, she sort of feels like an outsider. That would be bad. And then they won, and I was like, yes. So I went 4 1/4. I thought it was very good.
Yes. Yeah, I was really happy with this. I went 4.5 on it. I thought the emotion that both teams brought to the finishing stretch really elevated things and made it feel kind of real. Like it was just like, yeah, there are real emotions flowing here, and it was just great stuff. I really, when you're around the time of the shot you were talking about, I did love the photographers kind of fighting to get in to get the shot while also trying to not be in the way of Nakajima and Ito at the same time. That was good. I thought the match before the mask got ripped off, my favorite part was when Ito and Nakajima were fighting on the apron and were just beating the shit out of each other with forearms. Like that was great. All around, I thought this was a really good match, but really once it jumped up into that high gear, it's like, okay, yeah, no, this is great now. This is awesome. This is what we needed.
Another great Hyper Masao serious mask. I guess we're learning that the mask is like a damper on her abilities. Yeah. I'm like, take the mask off full time and you might win a lot of matches.
It's like in the early part of Dragon Ball when like Goku and Piccolo take off their training gear and it's like 20 pounds and it's like, and they're it's like, oh yeah, now they're way faster. That's Misao's mask. Her mask is really like 50 pounds.
Yeah. So great match. I was like, yes, this is great. Really excited to see Masao and Shoko win the titles. Fascinated to see what happens with Maki and Miyu, who they were saying on commentary, if they didn't get to 10 consecutive wins, would disband.
Yeah.
Which clearly didn't happen now.
Well, maybe. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll have a press conference announcing they're not going to be around anymore or something. Because it did... Just how the two of them were acting post-match, it did feel almost like, I don't know if they're coming back.
Yeah, so... we'll have to see, but exciting for excited for new tag champions. So, and then the final match of the show was for the Princess of Princess title. The champion Mizuki successfully defending her title, defeating Rika Tatsumi in 21 minutes and 14 seconds. Kelly, your thoughts on the main event?
So this is another match I went 4.5 stars on. That I really love, but also have a major problem with. And I think that's what kept it from being like a match of the year candidate for me. They did so much great limb work in the early part of the match. And like the first half was just Rika Tatsumi destroying Mizuki's leg. And then at some point, we kind of just forgot that was the case. And Rika didn't go after the leg anymore. And Mizuki kind of did sell it, but not as much. And it's like, you guys had such a great through line going for this match and then kind of just abandoned it. So that I found that to be very disappointing. But other than that, I thought the match was great. The foot stomp from the top rope to the floor was absolutely insane. And I'm pretty sure if that happened to me, I probably would have shit my pants. Like, she landed flush on her. Like, it wasn't even like her toes hit the mat first. It was just flush on the stomach. I would have either vomited or pooped or both. Who can say? It wouldn't have been a good scene. But yeah, they both fought super hard here. They both took a ton of punishment, and it was a great main event. Had it had, I think, more of a through line with the limb work, I would have gone 4 3/4, but 4.5, still real good. Why'd I hate the match? Sorry.
Mr. Haku did say something similar with that, where he said he would have died had he been hit by that.
Yeah.
that
No,
move.
Something would have been coming out of me, no matter what.
I mean, Rika really got pummeled the whole match. She got stepped on. She got kicked in the face. I was like, ooh, man. The minute you said you had the problem with the match, I knew exactly what you were going to say, because I sort of thought the same thing, but I think that, I don't know, that just seems like the way it works now, which is that you sell and then you're like, oh, but now we have to go to the finishing. And this is every wrestling wide.
Yeah.
That it's like, well, but now this is the finishing sequence, and so my leg is okay, and then the counter argument always is like, well, in sports, when your leg really gets hurt, you don't hobble around the field for 2 hours. And it's like, I guess.
Yeah.
But you also then, if you're a baseball player and you hurt your leg, you don't then slam your leg into the ground every inning.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I would have had as big of a problem with it if Tatsumi's limb work hadn't been so goddamn good. Because she was destroying Mizuki's leg.
Yeah, so I just sort of understand it, but at this point I'm like, well, this is just wrestling.
Yeah, it's just how wrestling is now.
I did love near the end the reversal of the cutie special into the Dragon Sleeper and then back into the cutie special.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was very cool. I really liked the match. I was, again, slightly lower. I went 4 1/4 stars, but thought the match was really good. Really enjoyed it. And like I said, the top 2 matches to me really saved this show.
For sure.
Because I thought they were great. And coming out of this, we will be getting the title matches for WrestleMania weekend, which is coming up. So that should be fun. But yeah, a great end to the show. I thought a solid show. Wish that one of the mid-card matches had sort of hit, and I think I would have really been like, oh, what a fun show. But I think there was a lot where I was sort of like, oh, I was expecting, had like Suzume and Endo been 4 stars, I think I could have been like, Willow and Miyu wasn't that good.
Yeah.
But that's okay. But with multiple of them where I'm like, shoot, I wish that was better. It just holds the show as a whole back a little bit.
Yeah, this is a show, because a lot of times with Tokyo Joshi big shows, I'll just say, just watch the whole thing. But this is very much a show where I'd say just do the top 2 and you're fine.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, what else was happening? Well, there was also SAREEEism 7 on March 10th at Shinjuku Face. Been getting a lot of conversation around the world of wrestling. Kelly, anything to say about any of the undercard matches? We'll do the undercard and then we'll talk about the main event some.
So the most of the undercard I didn't really have any thoughts on. I thought it was fine, but I did really love the semi-main between Sarah Yano and Miku Kanae. I thought this was fucking great. Kanae is like just was the perfect I'm gonna get the shit beat out of me kind of young wrestler to Saree's I'm gonna beat the shit out of this rookie veteran. It was just awesome, and Miku was doing everything she could to survive. even the botch was great, where she slipped on the ropes and accidentally rocketed the back of her head into Saree's face and busted her eyebrow open. Like, that was awesome. 4 stars. I really, really liked that match.
Yeah, I think, except obviously for Saree, who that's what the whole show's about. I think Miku has been the one person, to me at least, that feels like has gotten some rub off of these shows.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, this person is great. And I hadn't really thought much about them before. And now I'm like, oh, I'm excited to see their matches. So that has been good. I mean, a lot of this, my only other undercard thought was watching Dash Chizako and thinking like, you know, in 25 years, I think a lot because I'm subscribed to Charles's wrestling playlists, which are talking about, you know, matches from the past and watching things that are old and et cetera, et cetera. Like someone in 25 years is going to be like, I'm going to watch some Joshi from 2025 or 2020 or 2015 and like find a bunch of people like Dash Chizako, like all these different people who outside of Joshi don't really get talked about ever, that are so good that people are going to be
underrated.
like, oh my God, how are people not talking about this person all the time?
Yeah.
Now, of course, 25 years ago from where, or, you know, 50 years ago, 25 years ago from what we're talking about now, some of it was the people who were really good were on the undercard and those undercards didn't make tape.
Yep.
Like, so then you're like, well, that's the reason why. Now there's really no excuse.
Yeah.
So, and I think it gets exacerbated a little bit with having now, I'm putting this in heavy quotes, 3 big companies.
Yeah.
Because I also think a lot of people who don't watch Joshi are like, great, I'll watch the big matches from these 2 promotions and then miss a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of like Dash and, you know, Venny is very young and many things could happen in the future, but it's like one of the best wrestlers. No one ever really talks about her outside of Joshi circles.
Yeah.
So I just thought about that. I think it's a bummer. I mean, I think part of this show was trying to bring some of those people to light, and I hope that we've done that. But
you know, when you mention, you know, we have the 3 big companies now. Do you think that New Edition is a big part of why Tokyo Joshi's attendance is dropping? Because I do.
Do I think Marigold is why Tokyo Joshi's attendance is dropping?
Yes.
I mean, it very well could be.
Because I think they definitely are the preferred Joshi brand of Wrestle Universe, just based on how I see the advertising.
Oh, you're saying in that way, in the way of Wrestle Universe is now like, oh, we have Marigold, they're also Joshi.
Yeah, that's a part of it, and it's just like they run shows, and so people have to choose. Like, hey, you know, I don't have all the money in the world. I can only go to one of these shows, and this Marigold seems pretty good. They've got the people from Stardom I liked. I should go watch that instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think the styles are different enough that I don't know if someone who like was like, hey, I love Tokyo Joshi would watch Marigold and think like, this is much better. I mean, maybe they would think that, but in terms of the style, just because Tokyo Joshi is so different than most other Joshi companies, that I don't know if that would be a thing. I mean, it could also just be a thing of, you know, and I think this is probably the bigger one is, you know, Miyu goes away, Yuka Sakazaki goes away.
Yeah.
And they leaned on them so heavily to be like, hey, they're in the main event. These are the people you care about. And now they have a bunch of people where it's like, they're really good, but also like even Rika Tatsumi, who I think is great, has not been presented at the top level that Miyu was, that Yuka was, that, you know, all these people were. So I think that's probably a larger thing. I think it's an interesting idea of Tokyo Joshi was by itself on Wrestle Universe for however long they were there. And so it was sort of like, this is the Joshi that you get. But now it's like, but now you can watch Marigold. Now you can watch Sendai Girls more and more. So that could have a little to do with it. I mean, I'm sure it's not just one
factor.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's a question of, maybe it just happened that people were interested in that time, like that 2,300 number from 2024. Like maybe it's more like, hey, that was a fluke for a year.
Mm-hmm.
That like, wow, they were really hot, and actually this is their baseline is that they draw 1,200 people to the shows, or 1,200 to 1,500. I don't know. We'll have to see, because of course, in 6 months, if they pop back up, then that probably isn't the answer. But we don't know now.
Yeah. Who can say?
Who can say? But anyway, the main event of SAREEEism, the match getting a lot of talk, got 4 3/4 stars from the Wrestling Observer, was Saree and Syuri going to a time limit draw, a 30-minute time limit draw. Kelly, what did you think of this match?
Tremendous. Just awesome match. Even going in knowing it was a draw, it still was like a thrilling match. They put in such good work. This was somehow both like the best technical wrestling match I've seen this year, and also an awesome dudes rock match. They just beat the shit out of each other. It had a bunch of great looking holds. Just fantastic work from both of them. I also went 4 3/4 on it. I'm kind of shocked Dave didn't go higher, just because his system is broken. But it's just awesome match. Make time for it in your schedule if you haven't seen it yet.
Dave's Joshi ratings are really weird to me. There are things when I'm like, Dave, this is, well, I should say I went 4.5 on this match, but I am sort of shocked that Dave did not go 5. But there are things that he gives 5 where I'm like, what? And there are things that then he goes like 4 1/4 that I'm like, also, what? Like, it, like there seems to be no consistency of like, oh, Dave and Joshi really likes this.
Yeah,
I'm like,
no.
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. I went 4.5. I also thought it was really good. They hit each other very hard in this match.
Hell yeah, they did.
I talk about hard, I talk about hard hitting, but it really was like, ooh, crazy. I did not know it was a time limit draw watching it. So that was surprising. You know me, I don't really love time limit draws. But I thought this one was fine. But 4.5, I think definitely a great match. One to go out of your way to watch. I mean, really, has there been a SAREEEism? I'm trying to think of what the other 6 main events were. Have there really been any SAREEEism main events that have been like, not great?
They've all delivered. Every single
They're all very good.
Yeah.
And very fun. Good to see Syuri in a high profile spot, because it feels like she's sort of moved down a bit. So that was good to see. But fun show, but definitely I would say, well, the semi-main and then the main event, but mostly a one match. If you've only got time for one match, make it the main event.
Mm-hmm. If you've got time for 2 matches, watch the top 2.
What else has been going on in Joshi? In Stardom, there has been a lot going on. The Cinderella tournament began, ran, and ended all while we were gone. But also the big match, Tam Nakano against Saya Kamatani. The loser leaves Stardom match. Kelly, I know that you are out of the consensus.
Yeah, I'm the low man on this match. I liked it. I thought it was very good. I went 4 stars. But like, I've seen so many 4 3/4 and 5 from Dave himself thrown around where I'm just like, I don't see it. I just don't. Like, I think I waited too long to watch it, and the hype really kind of built my expectations to the point where it couldn't deliver. It felt a lot like an Oz Academy match, which I know a lot of people hate that style of match. So I was just like, oh, well, why why you like this one but not that one? So I don't know. I thought it was a good match, but not a 5-star classic. No, there was nothing like transformative about this match. It was just a solid, strong main event.
Well, I'll say that I went 4.5 stars. I was close to 4 3/4. The interference at the end really annoyed me.
Yes.
It felt very stupid in that it was all of a sudden like, hey, everyone's interfering. Oh, okay. This is just sort of what's happening right now, which annoyed me because I was like, oh, maybe this is 4 3/4. And then that happened. And I was like, no, 4.5 because I can't go higher than that, but still very good. I thought an excellent match. A bit weird that they have this match and then are like, well, actually, Tom, you can still wrestle in Stardom until we put our careers on the line at All-Star Grand Queendom at the end of April, which is a little odd because it sort of undercuts. Oh, she's lost her Stardom career.
How fucked up would it be if Saya loses that match?
Whoops. But yeah, I thought a very good match. Very exciting. I thought they paced it really well. It didn't really feel like it had a lot of lull to it that sometimes creep into these big Stardom events. I liked them having it at Korakuen Hall. I know that some people were surprised to see that it was there, but they can fill that place up, and it's got a great environment when the crowd is into it and everything. So I'm all for it. So yes, very good match. Kelly, I know that you watched some of the Cinderella tournament, which was won yesterday by Sayaka Kurara. Want to talk about it?
Yeah. I watched the finals show. Of the 3 tournament matches that were on there, I think my favorite was the first of the semifinal matches. This between Sayaka Kurara and Azusa Inaba. This one rocked. Like, they both wrestled like they didn't have another match to wrestle later that night and fought super hard. I think that was the best match I've seen from either of those two. I went 4 stars. Rina and Hanan, their semifinal match, I thought was good for the most part, but went a little too long and got a little too ambitious. Rina was late kicking out twice. So I was like, I don't know. That's not, maybe reel it in on those 2.99 kickouts. And it wasn't even like, normally I'd be like, Daichi's pulling up early. I don't really blame him on those because like his hand was pretty much touching the mat when he pulled up. It's like, he probably should have kicked out sooner. Then the finals between Sayaka Kurara and Rina was very good. And it was very nice that it was pretty shenanigan free. Because as of late, it seems like hate shenanigans are all over the fucking place. And I'm kind of tired of it. So it was cool to have this be just a straight up match. Good finals. And then the main event of that show was Starlight Kid defending her title against Konami. And this was awesome. Starlight Kid was just pouring blood out of her mask. I assume from her nose after she got kicked in the face. And the blood definitely elevated the match. But it weirdly felt like the match ended before its peak. Like it felt like there was supposed to be more. So I don't know if they went home early because Kid's face hurt or something. But yeah, great match. I went 4 1/4 on it. And it's really my favorite Konami match in a long time because it feels like she's really just kind of a shell of her former self with the hate gimmick. So this was good to see.
And that's what's been going on in Stardom. What else has been going on? Well, in Marigold, what's been going on? Well, Rossi Ogawa has been out publicly bashing his own wrestlers. That guy, what a weirdo that guy is to go on Twitter and be like, well, no one seems to want to elevate themselves. And I'm like, well, maybe if you didn't hire exclusively people with like less than 10 matches in their whole life, you might have better success.
And then make them go out and wrestle 20-minute draws.
Yeah. It just seems like, why would you say that?
The old man is mad that the entire Stardom roster didn't defect with him.
Yes, and I think he's realizing that creating a new promotion at this moment in time is going to be harder than he thought, where I think he thought he would walk to being the number one promotion using mostly cheap rookie wrestlers.
Yeah, and I do genuinely think he expected a lot of the roster to follow him. And I think now it's kind of settling in that maybe Mayu isn't coming. Or maybe Tom's actually going to retire rather than come here.
So, yeah, I just think it's a bad look. I'm like, look, you did this to yourself, buddy.
We're all looking for the guy who did this.
Yeah, very much so. So that's what's happening in Marigold. What a fun time. What else has been happening? Oz Academy on the 9th, they had a tag team title match. FWC retained the titles over the OWC team of Itsuki Aoki and Momoko Hanazono. Ice Ribbon just had a show on the 16th. Kaori Yoneyama successfully defending her Triangle Ribbon title, but there are new tag title holders. Kirara Wakina and Miko Kaina defeated Hamiko Hoshi and Makoto to win those titles. So Karari going very quickly, and I believe 1 year from rookie to champion for Ice Ribbon. In Diana on the 9th, Risa Sera became the new World Women Pro Wrestling Diana World title holder, defeating Haragi Kurumi. Kelly, you want to talk about Crazy Fest? I have not seen these matches yet. I'm only partway through Crazy Fest, so I will throw this over to you to talk about the Joshi matches on that show.
Crazy Fest was the first thing I watched after my vacation. Where I was like, I gotta watch this show. I love these weird produce shows. Keep them coming. Let's go. There were 2 Joshi matches on there that I wanted to talk about. The first was a 6-person tag where it was, I think everyone is allowed to bring one weapon to the match. So you had the team of Mayu Utani, Hazuki, and Captain Stardom, who was Saya Ida. Sorry for unmasking her. Defeating the team of Azumi, Mei Sierra, and Starlight Kid. This was such a fun match. They had such an insane pace to it. Koguma was kind of also on the winning team. She just showed up and wrestled, but really wasn't part of the match. Just a high-speed match the whole time. A lot of fun stuff. I went 4 stars on that. And then the semi-main of the show was a TLC match where Rina Yamashita defeated Suzu Suzuki. It's very good to have Deathmatch Suzu back. It was great. They used gusset plates. They used a lot of weapons. It was awesome. 4 stars on that one, too.
Great. I still have to watch that show. I will be watching it.
The main event.
Or finishing it. I'll say I will be finishing it because I am partway through.
The main event is my match of the year at the moment.
All right. Well, there you go. Some non-Joshi recommendation from Kelly.
Yep.
But what is coming up in the next 2 weeks? Well, Stardom has New Blood 20. Really chucking these out, these New Bloods. The 20th New Blood. SEAdLINNG has a big show on March 20th. Some of the matches on that, La Pedita and Ka Kedita will team up to face Na Sudita and the, I believe, debuting Ya Mashita.
How long are we going to do this? This has lasted so much longer than I ever thought this bit would.
And there's so many characters involved. So many people. Honori Hana will take on Unagi Sayaka on that show as well. But the big match on that show is the main event, the Beyond the Sea title match, stemming from the actions of their last show, which we talked about on our last episode. It will be Veni versus Yumika Hoda for the Beyond the Sea title in a cage match.
Hell yeah.
So that will be fun to see. A pretty rare Joshi cage match going on. So looking forward to that. Oz has a show on March 30th. Team Power Spot, which is Sonoko Kata and Ryu Mizunami, will defend their tag titles against Magenta, which is Maria and Riko Kawahara. Tokyo Joshi will have a show featuring SKE48 talent on the 30th for Yuki Arai's graduation from that unit. Marigold has a Korakuen Hall show on March 30th. Sendai Girls, a big show on March 19th called The Top of Joshi Wrestling. Some of the matches on that card, Dash Chizako and Risa Sera will have a hardcore match.
Hell yeah.
Chi-Chi will defend her Sendai Girls junior title against Aya Sakura. Mika Iwata and Miyuki Takase will defend the Sendai Girls tag titles against Maika and Hanako, Hi Mate. And in the main event, the Sendai Girls champion Meiko Satomura will defend against Chihiro Hashimoto. So will be interesting to see what happens
card
there.
Rocks.
That we'll see what happens there as Meiko gets very close to her retirement date.
She's retiring as champion. It's happening.
It very well may happen.
She's beating her whole roster and then riding off into the sunset.
And then just throwing the belt in the ring and going, I'm out of here.
She throw the belt down and go, this is no NXT UK.
Sendai Girls also has a show on the 23rd of March. The main event there is Maria and Aja Kong taking on Meiko Satomura and Mika Iwata, which sounds like a fun match. And then Ice Ribbon has a Korakuen Hall show. The only match announced so far, I believe, that is on the 29th, is Manami Katsu defending the Ice Infinity title against former champion Ibuki Hoshi, returning from her maternity leave. So will be interesting to see if she can regain the title there. But that is everything coming up in the next 2 weeks. And that is all for us on Jumping Bomb Audio. But before we go, Kelly, I am going to commandeer your corner. Because I have a recommendation for you.
Okay.
Of a movie I watched that I thought Kelly would like this movie as things fall all around me. The movie is called The Seventh Curse.
Okay.
And it was just released by Vinegar Syndrome.
Okay.
And it is from the 80s, from I believe Hong Kong in the 1980s. And it's about a guy who is cursed. This guy makes him swallow 7 bullets, and then the bullets slowly shoot out of him one by one. And he has to figure out how to reverse the curse before the 7th one shoots out of his heart and kills him.
Okay.
It's like it's like a combination of like a Kung Fu Indiana Jones movie.
Okay.
I
am sold.
I recommend it to all our viewers, but I recommend it to Kelly. And now, Kelly, I will throw it over to you for your recommendation in Kelly's corner.
My recommendation is going to... You know what? My recommendation is going to be The Monkey. Did you see this movie?
I saw The Monkey yesterday, yes.
I fucking love The Monkey. The key to The Monkey is that it is not a horror movie in any way. It is a straight-up comedy with some of the craziest kills you'll ever see. It is so much fun.
I was in a theater that was very loud, and I will say this is only a very minor spoiler, but this was the highlight, which is that the movie has to do with this toy monkey that keeps popping up everywhere, and all these bad things happen. The middle of the movie, it like pops, it's like off screen for 5 minutes, and then it pops up again, and the woman in front of me goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe it's back." and I was like, ma'am, the movie is called The Monkey. It's not going away 45 minutes in and never reappearing.
That is the titular monkey.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe it's back. And I was like, you can't? That's odd.
That's so good.
But yes. Yeah, a lot of crazy kills in that movie.
Yeah. It's such a fun time. Like I I highly recommend seeing that. I went with some friends, and they ran into someone they knew after the movie, and the person they knew's review of the movie was, "Monkey sure did go crazy, huh?" Like,
Yeah,
yep,
crazy monkey.
he sure did go crazy.
Well, that is all for us on this episode, our 5th anniversary episode of Jumping Bomb Audio. So thank you to all the fans. Kelly, thank you.
Oh, thank you
for joining the show many years ago and then sticking around, because had you left, the show would have ended. We very much appreciate all of our listeners, and we will see you next time as we start our 6th year here on Jumping Bomb Audio. So long.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for having me on the show, fellas.
Hi, I'm Andrew Rich, and if you're like me, you look at the state of modern wrestling discourse and think, wow, what a cesspool. That's why I'm here to tell you about Music of the Mat Remix. That's right, your favorite wrestling music podcast is back with a new format, where I bring on a guest and we play songs related to wrestling-themed topics. It could be a wrestling reference, a wrestling concept, a wrestling pun, things of that nature. Now you might be saying, Andrew, that is a very, very tenuous connection to pro wrestling on a wrestling podcast network. Is this just an excuse to hang out with your friends and talk about music and ignore the rest of the wrestling landscape? Yes. Yes, it is. So listen to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast player of choice.
Yeah, sure thing. Hey, you sold that car yet?
Yeah, sold it to Carvana.
Oh, I thought you were selling to that guy.
The guy who wanted to pay me in foreign currency, no interest, over 36 months? Yeah, no. Carvana gave me an offer in minutes, picked it up, and paid me on the spot. It was so convenient.
Just like that.
Yep.
No hassle.
None.
That is super convenient.
Sell your car to Carvana and swap hassle for convenience. Pickup fees may apply.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to paint their door a vibrant shade of blue. Others have the need to decorate their bathroom with fish, anchors, and other nautical items. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.